Hey, what's going on guys? It's me again. Today we're actually going to work on my motor, and we're going to go through this brand new block that I bought to rebuild my motorcycle engine. And as we're going, we're going to talk about these few projects that I have in the shop. For example, this 1.5 JZ Chaser, this 1936 Ford truck with an LS swap. I just did this BMW M54 3-liter supercharger, and there's one more project that I'm still working on, which is this 1500 horsepower LS1 twin turbo truck. But for now, we're gonna focus on this motor. I bought it from my buddy Calvin, and I'm gonna put the details in the video in case you guys need any used parts for you guys who live here in BC. He has a lot of parts. He's a great guy. We'll leave the infos, but for now, let's stick to it and rip this motor apart and see what we can use, so I can figure out what I'm gonna do and what I'm gonna send to the machine shop tomorrow. So let's go from there. Alright guys, so we ripped the motor apart. This is not an EFI motor, it's actually a carb motor. So it's the 97 and 98 model, but the bottom block it's exactly the same. The only thing they did is change the head. This head I won't be using. I'll probably keep it spare in case I need to build a turbo kit for a carb model or something. But for now, so I've been scratching my head trying to figure out what the hell always goes with number 3. Like, it got to the point where every 2 races I'll split my cases, inspect just like, obviously inspect all the bearings, but the one that always has most wear is number 3. So I'm looking at the oil gallery right now. What I did with my previous block is I drilled all these portholes bigger, deleted the balancer shaft. Obviously I run a lot more oil capacity just to make sure the pump always gets oil and never dries out of oil. So if you guys can look in here, number 3 is actually, so this one, if you can see on the crankshaft, look at the crank. So if you look at the port, this one feeds number 1. And this one, which is this one, feeds number 2. And if you look, the one in the center is the one that feeds number 3. So if I look at the oil port, it's actually the closest to the oil pump. Oil filter, I mean. So the oil pump sucks the oil, it goes through the outside the center of the oil filter housing, then it goes around, and right away, the first one that it should feed is number 3, but I'm wondering if the oil flow going so much that's feeding everything else but number 3. It's odd, I don't know, I can't figure it out. Still working on that. But what I did with my previous motor is I ported the whole oil gallery, everything. I took all the caps out, ported them so the oil will flow really smoothly. All these holes were bigger. I made them bigger, and I ported the edge here. So if you look, I'm gonna put a stock bearing in, and like, even though you put the bearing in, you can see that you can still see the edges. Can you see inside the hole? You guys can still see the edges. So anyways, what I did, I tapered these edges so it will flow from the bottom, so bigger hole to feed it, then I made it that way. This will flow smoothly all the way around. So I brought vernier caliper to show the size difference between this one, 3 millimeter, and the one I have is 4.26, and this should be average the same. Yeah, they're all pretty much the same, about 4.5 to 4.2 tapered to just give it smoother oil delivery. And the crankshaft, if you guys can see, this is number 3, got busted obviously, and I machined the gear right off. This way it won't cause like oil foaming or micro bubbles inside the oil. Well, I don't know if, honestly, I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference, but everything helps. Lighter crank, lighter rotation mass, no gears, no micro bubbles, or if it does help, great. If it doesn't, I do it anyways. Before we end this, we're gonna go through what we're gonna do now. I'm gonna send the block to the machine shop. I need to go 1 millimeter bigger on the bore. The bore is perfect, but all my pistons are 1 millimeter bigger. So I'm gonna stick with that. For the crankshaft, probably get it balanced, machine that gear, and see if I can upgrade the oil ports on the crankshaft. Probably polish it, make sure everything's perfect. I'm gonna send my, I usually balance the rods and the pistons and the wrist pins. Everything's pretty much balanced anyways, and I'm gonna reuse the 3 good rods and pistons. They're Gorilla rods and J8 pistons, obviously. And I'm just gonna, that one that I'm gonna use from my spare parts, I'm just gonna make sure it matches the rest of the rods and pistons. And once everything is ready, I'm gonna go through exactly what I'm gonna, once everything is ready, I'm gonna go through the whole motor, through the whole build, in case you guys wanna build something similar and you guys don't wanna pay somebody like me or a machine shop or whoever to build you the motor. Or if you wanna go through a plan because you're trying to do the exact same thing. So that's what we're gonna do, and we'll see you guys next time.